Hello and welcome to Odds on Bundesliga, Matchday 32, only 3 games left, and this should be the weekend where Bayern Munich win the trophy. Ronan Murphy, hello.
Hello, we've been saying that for a couple of weeks now and it still hasn't.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for, it just seems inevitable now that Bayern Munich are going to win the trophy, but every time Leverkusen slip up, they slip up, and every time Leverkusen win, they win. So yeah, it seems to be ongoing, but it should be an interesting one to be Harry Kane's first trophy, and he's suspended, so he won't even get to play.
He won't be in the pitch if Bayern are able to beat Leipzig away, or perhaps they have to wait until Sunday and see Leverkusen dropping points with Freiburg. Well, still very interesting the fight also for the Champions League spots with Leipzig and Dortmund right now outside of the top 4. So guys, let's analyze everything. Of course, press the like and now, or subscribe as well, of course. Let's go on with the show. Well, early kickoff or Friday game is Heidenheim, Bochum, 2 teams in the bottom 3. Actually, Bochum now bottom of the table. They drew with Union Berlin. They are 4 points away from Heidenheim, so it's basically win or die for them. And Heidenheim is going to be very difficult for them to catch Hoffenheim. -5, but the win against Stuttgart was crucial, at least to play this play out after the regular season, Ronan.
Yeah, I think Heidenheim's main goal at the moment will be trying to avoid the bottom 2 and finish third, so then they can at least play the team that is third in the second division and maybe beat them, because we've seen in the past that kind of 9 times out of 10, the team in the Bundesliga usually stays up in the relegation playoffs, so Heidenheim will be looking to do that, and Bochum, anything else other than a win this season would see them finish in the bottom 3 or this weekend if they don't win, but I don't think they are. Even if they were to win the 3 remaining games, I don't think Bochum have too much chance of staying up, to be honest. They're bottom. They aren't going nowhere. They are going back to the second division, but I suppose they have a bit of pride to play for. Maybe they could try and make the playoffs, but seems unlikely. Heidenheim, they haven't beaten Bochum since they were both promoted to the Bundesliga. It was both draws last season, 0-0 and 1-1, and Bochum actually won 2-0 earlier in the game this season. So Heidenheim haven't a really good record against Bochum. Even when they were in the second division, they haven't beaten them since 2018. Both of them were in the Zweite Liga back then. Bochum, at the moment, not great form. They're on a bad run at the moment, and that's why they're in where they are, 6 games without a win. Both teams finally got good results last weekend. Bochum drew with Union Berlin, like you said. Heidenheim beat Stuttgart. That was a great result for them, and they had lost 3 games in a row before that match, but there were 3 very difficult opponents in Leverkusen, Frankfurt and Bayern, kind of matches you would expect them to lose. Before that, they beat Wolfsburg 1-0, so they have been picking up results here and there, and that's why they're not in the bottom 2. So they could do with picking up points here and maybe kind of hoping that they can avoid the bottom 3. So I think they do have the ability to beat Bochum. We've seen that they have ability to beat much better teams. Correct score 1-0 could be an option, because that's what they tend to win the matches that they do win when they do. That's 10 for a correct score 1-0. And I just like the look of a Heidenheim win, to be honest. 238. They need to do something. And yeah, like Jake is saying in the comments, Heidenheim draw no bet doesn't look too bad. So yeah, I think Heidenheim, they are a better side. So they should kind of come out of this crucial game for them with at least 1 point and maybe 3.
Okay, draw no bet for Heidenheim could be a good option. It looks like, well, you should never kill Bochum earlier, as we saw last season, because after they surprise us, but it's going to be very difficult for them. Actually, if they lose, they are out. They are already in Bundesliga 2. Saturday, Gladbach, Hoffenheim, 5 points more than Heidenheim, so still need some points to be sure they are going to stay in the Bundesliga, but also perhaps here is good to see at the goals. We've seen plenty of goals from both teams conceded and scored in the last game. And imagine Gladbach even lost to Kiel 4-3 in the previous games, and also they lost to Dortmund, they lost to Freiburg, but usually high scoring games.
Yeah, and Tim Kleindien's after that 4-3 loss to Heidenheim, he said he was really peed off, but he used the over 18 version. Yeah, he said he felt like he could explode, and that if they keep playing like this, that they won't be picking up many more points. But so the only thing is they are scoring, like you said, they're 4 points behind the Conference League, so there is a chance they could make Europe. A very slim chance, obviously, but there is a chance. So they have to keep playing till that chance is gone. And the same with Hoffenheim, they need to kind of secure their place in the Bundesliga, like we said in the previous match, 5 points relegation playoff. So they should be safe enough, but they need to kind of make sure of that before the end of the season, and then they can kind of relax a bit more. The last 10 meetings between these sides have all been games with goals. Like you said, both teams to score. Yes, it's happened in the last 10 meetings between the sides. It was 2-1 to Gladbach and 4-3 to Hoffenheim last season. And Gladbach won 2-1 away earlier this season. So both teams to score, yes, is 145. So that could be an option. But both teams to score, yes, and 3+ goals has happened in Gladbach's last 3 games. All defeats for them, but yeah, both teams to score, yes, and over 3.5 goals could be a good option at 220. But maybe a bit safer is just to go for total goals over 3 at 174. And if obviously, like I usually say, if you are betting on exactly over 3 goals, make sure you get your money back if there's exactly 3 goals.
Indeed, it looks like we're going to see plenty of goals in this game. Next one, very important one, Leipzig, Bayern Munich. What a game. This one, and great odds actually, if you are not backing Bayern Munich. Even if you are backing Bayern, it's not bad. 1.70, as you said. They can be crowned champions, and Harry Kane won't be on the pitch because he's suspended. But be careful also because Leipzig, they really need the points. Right now, they are outside the top 4. They lost 4-0 to Frankfurt after that ugly draw also against Kiel. What a season for them. And they are playing Werder Bremen and Stuttgart. Is not that bad, actually, in the last 2 games, but they need to catch something because it looks like we won't see Leipzig next season in the Champions League.
Yeah, they need to really do something. I think the only thing that favours them is their fixtures, like you said, compared to perhaps Freiburg's, are maybe a little more difficult. So this one is a really difficult fixture, obviously. So this one is one that they probably need to pick up a point in, or 3 points to kind of keep the pressure on the teams around them, because there are many teams in the hunt for that 4th Champions League spot. So yeah, it's going to be a tricky one for Leipzig. And yeah, Leipzig will be doing everything they can to stop Bayern Munich winning the title. David Raum came out and said that he was annoyed at the fact that Bayern Munich could become champions, and that they're going to do everything they can do to spoil the celebration. That would be a slap in the face if Bayern Munich were to become champions in the Red Bull Arena. So they're going to try and ensure that they don't. But Bayern Munich have nothing else to play for this year, so they have to go all out. Michael Olise should be a key part of that with Harry Kane suspended. He has 12 Bundesliga assists this season, the most for any Bayern Munich player in a debut season at Bayern Munich. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one to see how Bayern Munich get on without Harry Kane, because they need to score goals and they need their wingers and other forwards to step up. So this one is usually a high scoring game. Over 3.5 goals has happened in 52% of Bayern Munich's matches, in 43% of RB Leipzig. So total goals over 3.5 could be a decent option at 196. But in Harry Kane's absence, I think a good option could be to look at maybe Thomas Muller starting in this one. He has 500 Bundesliga games for Bayern Munich now. He's played his 500, but he won't be breaking the record. That's 602 games for the same club. He won't be moving up to 3rd either, because there's not 18 games left this season and we know he's leaving this summer. But he's averaging 2.13 shots per 90. And he has only scored 1 Bundesliga goal this season, so he has a point to prove. So Thomas Muller over 0.5 shots on target at 172. I think it could be a very good bet in this one if he does start, because obviously keep an eye on the lineup, because we'll have to see what Bayern do without Harry Kane. And obviously Matthias Tel isn't even at the club at the moment, so they don't really have another option at strike.
Well, Jake is going for the opposite, actually, an under 3.5 goals for the best game we have on Saturday. 2 weeks ago, we saw PSG winning the Ligue 1. Last week was Liverpool, and this week could be Bayern Munich. And at the same time, we have Pauli, Stuttgart. Here, nothing really to play for. Pauli is still not mathematically safe, but almost, and in a very good run, unbeaten in 4. Stuttgart is kind of the opposite, dropping and dropping in the table without any goal.
Yeah, this seems like a match that I would not tune into if you have another choice. Obviously, with Bayern Munich and RB Leipzig on at the same time, maybe that one's worth tuning into. Unless, of course, it's like Jake says and there isn't many goals in it. But this one also doesn't really scream goals to us. Stuttgart, they were very disappointed after that 1-0 defeat to Heidenheim. They were frustrated. They had an open training session during the week where they invited the fans in. The players kind of looked kind of angry and annoyed about the fact that they have had bad results recently, so they seem to be eager. They're thanking the fans and they're saying all the right things to the fans that they're determined to turn things around. But if Pauli are on a good run at the moment, they're 4 games unbeaten. They've 2-1 all draws, a 2-1 win over Kiel, and then, like you said, they drew with Bremen last weekend 0-0. So they haven't been really high-scoring matches. And Stuttgart, they're 7 points away from Europe. They're not really going to get into Europe through the Bundesliga position, so their best chance is to focus on the cup. So they will have one eye on the cup final instead of actually the next few weeks in the league. St. Pauli are, like you said, they're not mathematically safe, but they're more or less safe. They're 6 points clear, so point this weekend could be enough. So yeah, St. Pauli double chance, 156, but even better is probably a draw in this one, because this one has draw written all over it at 356.
Yes, when you don't know what to bet, go for the draw. Jake says it's a pass for him, and not much on stake in that game. In the next one, Union Berlin, Werder Bremen is important for Werder Bremen. They are only 2 points away from the 6th spot, and they are in a good run. They drew with St. Pauli, but they won the previous 4. But also Union Berlin, despite not having any goals, I would say for a long time now, they are not losing. It's no defeats in the last 7.
Yeah, and they were happy enough to get that point last week. They drew with Bochum, and for the last 20 minutes or so, it just seemed like Bochum were trying to score, and Union Berlin were like, yeah, we'll kick the ball away and we'll see what happens, and maybe we'll score on a counter-attack. They were actually unlucky that the Bochum didn't score an own goal. The goalkeeper had to run back after a disgusting back pass. But they were happy enough to take a point because they're safe now. They were safe a couple of weeks ago. They were happy enough with the way the season is going, and they can worry about next season. So this one is one where it looks like Union Berlin will be happy enough for another draw here. They'll be happy enough to keep the score down. But Bremen have the Champions League to fight for, the Europa League perhaps to fight for. They're only 2 points behind Dortmund in 6th. So there is a chance that they could make Europe. Probably not the Champions League, obviously, but they could make the Conference League or the Europa League, so they have a lot to fight for. They're 5 games unbeaten. They'd be happy enough to take a 1-0 win, and that would do the job for them. So Bremen to win 260 doesn't look too bad. Union Berlin, like we said, they don't really play high-scoring matches. They only 42% of their games have had over 2.5 goals this season, so I don't think it would be going to really happen that for the Bremen are going to rack up a big score. I think Union Berlin are already on the beach, so they're not going to get plenty of goals. So yeah, Bremen will be happy with a win. They might even be happy enough with a point. 3 of their last 4 games have had under 3.5 goals, so come for the same kind of here. Under 2.5 goals at 2.04.
Under 2.5 as well for Jake. And the last game on Saturday is Borussia Dortmund, Wolfsburg. Here we are all looking at Dortmund to win. They are 6th right now in European spots, but Conference 1, 3 points away from Freiburg. The run in the Bundesliga is good. It's 4 wins and 1 draw. The draw was against Bayern Munich, but they suffered to beat Hoffenheim. They did it in the last minute, but Wolfsburg are absolutely gone. It's 1 point in the last 6 games.
Yeah, they have absolutely nothing to play for. They don't even have the manager's job to play for because he's gone at the end of the season. It's not been confirmed, but it's definitely happening. So Wolfsburg have nothing to play for in this one. Dortmund, the odds kind of reflect that. It's not really worth betting. Could be a good safe bet at 136, but apart from that, no, I wouldn't be looking at Dortmund. I'd be looking for some other sort of markets here. Maxi Arnold suspended as well for Wolfsburg for his first half red card against Freiburg. Suspended for 2 games, so there's good news for Dortmund. Sabitzer is back in training, so they might have him off the bench perhaps. There's doubts over Pascal Gross, so maybe fit in there. Maxi Bayer is also a doubt, but even without them, Dortmund have the players capable of getting the points, and Dortmund can still get into the top 4. They're only 3 points behind Freiburg. They have a much better goal difference, and they have a better goal difference than Leipzig, who are in 5th. So this one is a match where I think there could be goals, because Dortmund have lots of goals this season, but only 5 teams have scored more goals than Wolfsburg this season in the Bundesliga. The top 3, Dortmund and then Stuttgart. So the match is usually a high-scoring affair. Dortmund won 3-0 in it earlier this season. Both teams to score, yes. Could be a good option at 161. And then total goals over 3.5. It does look like another appealing option at 194. But I think because of what's on the line for Borussia Dortmund, they really kind of have to make sure that they win this. That total second half goals over 1.75 at 172 could be a good option.
Okay, Jake, Dortmund to win and over 2.75 goals. Angelo, Dortmund to win the first half. Difficult to find good odds in this game. Next one is Augsburg Kiel. Kiel is still alive after beating Gladbach, but they have to get points also from Augsburg, because their last games are Freiburg and Dortmund, so it's going to be very difficult for them to stay in the Bundesliga. And Augsburg, they lost to Leverkusen, but they are a competitive team, so also it's a tough game for Kiel. I mean, it's mission impossible, I think, to get safe.
I think the only thing that kind of plays into Kiel's hands in this weekend, maybe not in the future, is Augsburg have nothing really to play for. They're 10th. They're 5 points behind Borussia Dortmund, so they're not really going to get into Europe. Kiel, they're on a good enough run at the moment. They beat, well, they're confident at the moment. They beat Gladbach, like we were saying earlier, 4-3. They drew 1-1 with Leipzig before that. So Kiel are surprising a few teams. They obviously have terrible fixtures after this one. So any chance they have of avoiding the bottom 2 is to win against Augsburg. Augsburg, they haven't scored in their past 2 games. They drew with Frankfurt 0-0, and then they lost 2-0 to Leverkusen. They don't really have anything to play for. They are minds are probably switched off at this stage with 3 games to go. Kiel won 5-1 in this match earlier this season. If you had to ask people what the score was going to be, you wouldn't think it was going to be 5-1, but that's what it was. So Kiel win at 442 could be an outrageous bet here, but they have to win. They have no other choice but to win. Augsburg have nothing going on at the moment. Doesn't really matter, this result. Even if they were to lose 5-1 again, wouldn't really matter. So Kiel to win at 442, maybe worth a tiny little flutter, but perhaps a bit safer than that is Kiel double chance at 202.
Well, both teams to score, yes, for Jake. Here you are going for Kiel in this game. And next one is very interesting. Freiburg Leverkusen. Leverkusen, as we know, is still with options to fight for the Bundesliga. But look at the odds, Ronan, for Freiburg, because it's very likely that by the kickoff, Leverkusen don't have anything to play for. And Freiburg are fighting for the Champions League spots, and they are the underdog. The odds are brilliant, 3.25, and they are coming from 3 consecutive wins. So perhaps it's good to take a look at Freiburg and put some money on them.
Yeah, I think it could be, because this match is a match. If Bayer Leverkusen have lost the title, what do they have to play for then? Like we said, their season will be over. So they're going to come second, and that's kind of it. Yeah, really for them. And Freiburg, they have. It's 4th versus 2nd in this one, so Freiburg can make the Champions League this season, first time ever, like we said on last week's show. And after this Leverkusen game, they have Kiel next weekend. So if they were to beat Leverkusen, get a point against Leverkusen, and put them in a good position, because they should be confident that they can get something from Kiel. They have Frankfurt on the final weekend, but by then maybe Frankfurt will already have secured their Champions League place. So it could be a case that Freiburg have very favourable fixtures in the next few weeks, because Bayer Leverkusen's heads, like you said, they could have dropped by this. But I think if that does happen, if Bayern Munich does win the league on Saturday, maybe the odds by the time this match comes around on Sunday will be a bit different from the 325 we're seeing at the moment. Bayer Leverkusen, they are probably very distracted by everything that's going on at the club, aside from the title race. Xabi Alonso looks set to join Real Madrid, although we had news this morning that Carlo Ancelotti's Brazil switch might be in jeopardy. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah. So there's plenty of kind of dark clouds around both clubs at the moment. They're kind of wondering what's happening in the future. There has been a report in German media, in European media this week, that Florian Wirtz has a verbal agreement to join Bayern Munich this summer, although I don't know where Bayern Munich are going to get the money to pay for Florian Wirtz. They might have to sell a few players to kind of fund that, but that is going to disrupt them even further. It's a bit like before when Bayern Munich played Borussia Dortmund, and the news that Mario Götze was going to join Borussia Dortmund came out before the Champions League final back in the day. It's a bit like that. Bayern Munich could be putting this news out maybe to unsettle Bayer Leverkusen this weekend and ensure they win the league, even if they don't win on Saturday. Yeah, Freiburg are on a great run at the moment, 3 wins in a row. They've beaten Gladbach, Hoffenheim and Wolfsburg. Leverkusen are 4 games unbeaten, but they've all been low-scoring games. 1-0 win over Hoffenheim, a 1-1 draw with Pauli, 0-0 draw with Union, and a 2-0 win over Augsburg. So they haven't been scoring a lot of goals. The most common result in this one is 1-1. The most common result in Freiburg is 0-0. So total goals under 2.75 could be pretty good, because Freiburg don't tend to play big scoring games. Leverkusen season might be over, and if it's not, they'd be happy enough to win narrowly. So yeah, Freiburg, I like the look of Freiburg getting something here. Freiburg Asian handicap plus a quarter is 192. I'm very tempted by that.
Live bet on Leverkusen to score in the last minute. Well, this season also they've conceded some goals. Last season, of course, it was paying very well this, and it happened so many times, but was not the case this season. And we have the last game is Mainz Frankfurt, also very important for Europe. Mainz right now out of the European spots. They are 7th. Is only 3 points in the last 6 games, dropping. A team that was fighting for the Champions League spots only some weeks ago. And for Frankfurt is the opposite. Now they have a gap of 6 points with Leipzig. So if they win here, they will secure almost for sure a Champions League spots. But it's only one win in the last 6 Bundesliga trips for Frankfurt.
Yeah, I think they're kind of happy enough that the way things went last weekend. I think that after drawing 0-0 Augsburg, I suppose the only positive there is that they're keeping clean sheets. They're picking up some points, but yeah, Mainz have a lot to play for themselves. They're just 1 point behind Dortmund, 2 points behind Leipzig. They can make Europe, but not on the form that they're in at the moment. They haven't won 6 games, like you said. They're drawing their home games. They've lost their away games. So yeah, it seems to be a trend for them at the moment. And Frankfurt, on the other hand, they can kind of secure Champions League. The point, I'd say they'd be happy enough with a point here, because they have St. Pauli next weekend, and St. Pauli should be mathematically safe by then. And the interesting game then in the last weekend of the season is against Freiburg. So that could be for the Champions League, or else maybe Frankfurt will have secured the Champions League by then. Mainz's 𝗛𝗏𝐿 is looks to be out for the rest of the season with an ankle injury. That's a big loss for them. And if you look at the most common result here in Mainz is 1-1. The most common result in this match tends to be 1-1. Correct score of 1-1 maybe might suit both teams a little bit. Might suit Frankfurt anyway at 8. But I like the look of Frankfurt draw no bet 2.13, because I think they'd be happy enough with a point in this one. That should help them kind of consolidate their Champions League place. So yeah, Frankfurt draw no bet 2.13.
Yeah, kind of similar of what our friend Jake is telling us. Also over 3 goals. We saw plenty of goals also last week in the Bundesliga. It's a classic, so it's also very good to go always for both teams to score or over 3 goals in the games. Before we listen to Ronan Saka, check out these tipster competitions that we have going on, where you can win some money, even $1,000. You just need to sign up. It's for free and participate, or also you can create your own tipster competition with your friends or join a created one. As you can see, there are some public ones. Monthly, yearly, there you go. You have everything there. Ronan, your safe bet?
My safe bet for the first time this season, I'm actually going to do a positive
Ooh.
Kiel bet. Holstein Kiel Asian handicap plus 1.5 is 135.
Risky.
I don't think so. The team they're playing does not score more than one goal. It's like, don't.
And the ACCA?
My ACCA hopefully will get another ACCA after getting last week's ACCA. Hopefully we'll get this one again. So Leipzig Bayern second half total goals over 1.75 and Dortmund Wolfsburg both teams to score yes. Total of 277.
Last week was correct?
It was. Union Berlin came in with the double chance on Sunday to secure that after we had two kind of high scoring games to begin with on Saturday.
Bravo, bravo. Cheers, lads. Okay, guys, thank you. Have a great weekend and see you soon. Bye-bye.